Hey guys, it's Al from Altruistic Channel, and I am coming to you with a little bit something different. They actually wanted me to talk a little bit about the different consciousnesses, since we're talking about the transitional phase of the evolutionary chain, where we're jumping from a self-serving, materialistic, structured, hypocritical society into something a little bit more, a lot more matriarchal, loving, humanitarian. Uh, the collective type of environment that's very much based in a control of your emotions, but still dreaming the impossible dream in order to manifest creation, right? And so as we do that, they wanted me to tap into something that we've all studied, but that maybe we haven't put words in and quantified it in the right context. So we're going to begin this by calling this the master baiter, mainly because the master class was taken, but masturbator cracks my ass up, and it's just about masturbator means baiting the masters in you, so hooking you into the consciousness that you are a part of, and it's supposed to help guide some people that are in a will find my channel and find this message in particularly inspiring to them, and it speaks to who they are, because each of us share specific traits with our legacies or the beings that we have incarnated from in our ancestral line. And so tapping into the super consciousness of humanity in the collective consciousness then connects you to the super consciousness, which houses all of the different departmental consciousnesses. So the first one up, of course, would be Christ consciousness. So I'm going to read you some traits that may speak to you, and you'll understand if this speaks and resonates to who you are, that you may be in part of the Christ consciousness that is returning, which is, actual energy, which is manifesting into an actual form and is present, but that most of you might be working in that department. And so this is just something that's kind of a little bit of an uplifting reconnection with the divine through an auditory vehicle that is acknowledging you and what you are being downloaded. If this speaks to you, then obviously you are part of this particular consciousness. So I'm going to just read you a couple things that would be part of who you are. And so this would be speaking to things that you just find quirky about yourself, or that have almost many times in your life felt like they were detrimental to you because of how they was either perceived as naivete or rose-colored glasses and things that people put down. People who are limited put other people down in ways that make them feel small. And so these might be things that you are almost ashamed of in some departments, or overcompensating in others, in order to kind of make yourself feel better. And so this is just an acknowledgement that just you be you. That unique quality is what houses you in these different facets of the consciousness. So one of the big traits that you would have is humility. Obviously, if this speaks to you, you are someone who minimizes arrogance and egoic behavior in order to make way for an apprenticeship with the divine that leads you on a path to humanitarianism. And so this is an effort to basically humble yourself, let the ego go, and in place of it, allow your connection to the divine, bring you where you need to be in a humble and very honest approach to life. So that's one quality that you would definitely possess. Now, obviously, love would be your paramount, because the divine is all about love. That's all that life is love. Because hate is love, right? So it's the opposing force of each other. So nothing is broken apart beyond love and hate, right? It's like the Capricorn Cancer axis or whatever the other axes are. It speaks to the duality of life, but nothing changes other than love. Love is the base, and then anything is a derivative from it. So love would be the ability to feel the appreciation and interconnectedness between you and humanity and those all around you. They are a reflection of you and the infinite love of the divine. So if that speaks to you, you've always given maybe a little bit too much, but you've never lost your sense of love for the world. And that is something that drives you if you're part of this consciousness. Faithfulness. Faithfulness is entire. That is, I mean, is there any bigger trait to a Christ consciousness individual? The ability to keep and maintain a faith-based relationship with the divine energies of creation, despite what the illusions around you are showing. This is a strength of integrity in adversity that for you will make you shine like a diamond. And so what is considered faithfulness is almost a dogmatic way of living to others may actually just be your faithfulness to understanding the world at large, and specifically what the plan is that the divine has in store for humanity. The closer you are to this aspect of consciousness, then the more tapped in you would presumably be with the divine plan of life. Another attribute that would be shared amongst you in this particular department would be the self-control factor. This is a character based in discipline and restraint of will, unless acting on God's behalf. So basically, this would be all about being able to stick with something that you're working on, despite what is being shown around you, and the restraint to act in ways that are not in your best interest, in order to walk the path of self-control in Christ consciousness on God's behalf, right? And so it's all about that. Bravery or courage. So obviously for Christ consciousness individuals, bravery and specifically courage is just basically a spiritual clarity that the divine has given you, that everything you need in strength is everything you need is in your strength, in your ability to face any given situation despite what is around you or what you think is happening. So courage is just the ability to step into your spiritual clarity that it will be okay. And so that is definitely something of Christ consciousness that all of us should tap into. Next, I would say honesty is probably super paramount for most people. Your soul tribe is built upon staying in truth of yourself, meaning your soul tribe, I'm referring to your actual grouping of the group of the Christ consciousness. Because there's also Buddha consciousness, there's Confucius consciousness, there is God consciousness, there is, they refer to it as Godhead, the Enlightenment. Like there's different factions of the super consciousness that all have different functions, like a brain that has different aspects and different areas that specifically deal with key things that help you operate from day to day. So this is just another version of that, like world again, a world within a world. So honesty is your soul tribe is built upon staying in truth of yourself and the word of the divine as channeled through you manifestations, no matter what it appears to cost you. And basically, no matter what has happened, these people would be incredibly honest, even if it got them in trouble. These are people who cannot live outside of the truth because they know that in and of itself, they are that quality of the divine. In the end, your ability to stay true in your honesty will be one of the strongest manners in which you show up in this manifestation. Then I would say purity of the soul. Now, the purity of the soul is very interesting. It's one of the most sacred aspects to a well-adjusted Christ consciousness carrier, is that despite it all, they have kept to the tradition and authenticity the vast, within that best personifies the love that is the divine. So basically, I'm sorry, it's like really small writing. I typed this up like before I came on. Is that despite it all, they have kept to the tradition and authenticity within the best personification of the love of the divine. So it's say that you are someone who is in Christ consciousness. You have this purity. Your purity is of the heart, let's say, and so you're personifying the heart aspect of the divine. And so, despite it all, to others, you may be a doormat, but no matter what, you have never it's almost like a naivete. You've never looked at it in any other way. You don't have an option. It's just how you are wired. And so in the face of adversity and comments and backbiting and bitching and people trying to put you down and keep you small, you outshine them in the purity of who you are. It's a white light. No one can squash you. And so you've continually done that. In the face of all that you have experienced, you have never been swayed from acting in what is true for your soul's journey, despite what anyone else has said or done towards you. Okay? And then let's go with a couple more. Initiative. So initiative will take the lead in whatever situation is called upon for them to step into that role. And without a doubt that their victory is in store if in alignment with the divine. So this is a very high quality for the Christ consciousness. That is what led him to understand that he could basically rectify the sins of humanity in a way that it appeared to cost him in great. But in truth, it was his ability to take the initiative and to follow the divine's plan, because at the time it wasn't like it was super widely there were different gods that people were praying to, so it took some initiative to get this going. And it's about actually just be committed to your path, which leads us to the next one, which would be purpose. So that one's very clear. That one's just basically to meet life in your truth and your calling through personal devotion and service to the collective. That is purpose. It's basically showing up for your life and what you're meant to do, what the contracts were before you got here, and remembering who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, and then acting only in that way. Despite whatever anybody or anything that happens around you, nothing can sway you from your purpose. Then, of course, that leads to a servant leadership, which is using your path in life to lead others to their own purpose and to help humanity in divine grace and integrity so that each lotus flower can then open itself up as opposed to you opening it up for them. This is super important under servant leadership. It's part of your mission for Christ consciousness individuals. You are literally leading people into their path. You're not telling them what to do. You're just the bridge that gets them where they need to go. And ultimately, every individual has to have that relationship with the divine. So you're acting as that. You're in the office that I would be in the office of God. You are acting in a way, in a role that gives people the opportunity to step into their purpose. And then, of course, that leads to teaching. Basically, you spend your time studying all of the ancient teachings and developing your own sense of living that is in alignment with the divine will and the divine plan, that once you've mastered, you then begin to share with the world at large in order to bring them into union with the divine. So that's basically what that would be in a spiritual context. And then last but not least, for the Christ consciousness, I would say that the virtue is of one of the most important things you can have, is the ability to hold on to the principles of morality that is expressed through the calling that you have in your life, that connects you with a higher frequency and raises the vibration of the world in partnership with the divine and the universal consciousness. So you're acting with that virtue. That is your path, and it's something that only you can hold the strongest, and so no one can take that from you. And so that's just a little sample of what it is to be a Christ consciousness individual. And many of you are now finding that through this period of where the world has stopped and realigned you, that you are actively acting in your way in Christ consciousness. You are not in Buddha consciousness. You are not in something. This all speaks to you in a way that you can cross these off and go, oh, this is all me. And then you understand that you are acting in Christ consciousness. You are in that department. So as Christ reveals himself in the upcoming years, you will understand that weight of what he has carried or she has carried or it has carried, because I don't know what the manifestation is. I just know that he's back, she's back, it's back. And so understand that you are being called to remember who you are. So if you're carrying this particular type of consciousness, then look at it not as a burden, but as a blessing. Because this is not going to be like last time where he paid the sins for Adam. This is now a part where humanity is paying for their own sins and coming into alignment with the divine. And so as they step into their power, he will reveal something very sacred to the world when he presents himself, as with the elders each. And so each of them will present this once everybody is in alignment. And many of you are part of this department. So they wanted me to lead into some key things that speak to you as to how you connect to this consciousness. So in order to wrap this up, because I didn't want to I'm not a preacher. I know I know that it's like the Hierophant office here, but I don't ever take myself seriously enough to say that I'm going to ever lead you anywhere other than to the divine connection that you are meant to have. And so I don't spend a lot of time preachy. And so I'm going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to do a collective spread for those of you in the Christ consciousness as was to expect now in this transitional phase. I did this with same-sex tarot, and I love doing it, but that was a lot of frivolity. That was the raise of vibration. This is a little bit more to the elder community that's understanding their relationship to Christ consciousness and how that plays into their own reality of life. And so I've already shuffled the cards, and so this is going to be divine and the positive energies around us. In the office of the Hierophant, basically I'm going to be asking you, what is it that the Christ consciousness individual needs to be aware of or needs to prepare themselves for in these transitional phases? Let's see what you say. All right, yeah. Let's continue. I hope you guys find that rewarding. Because we're going to be doing all of the consciousness at some point. I'm going to be working on that tonight. I still am going through my own stuff over here in a wonderful, glorious adventure. But they were really clear that they wanted me to share what I've learned over the course of my ascension path. And one of the reasons I apparently hold this particular role, if you will, which has still not entirely revealed itself. But this is going to be a major blossoming of a butterfly, apparently, because that's what they keep showing me. Oh, by the way, this is a shout out to Natalie. So Nat, or Madam President, I will say this. You were channeled last week, I think it was, the butterflies. And so I didn't understand what that was. I just thought there was like maybe butterflies in the belly or stuff like that. In turn, I'd show up at the Quisby where I'm staying, and guess what? There are butterflies all over the door. And in this place, I'm hoping to reconnect with someone. So I just thought you should know, sweetie, that you were absolutely right with that channeling. Alright. So, for the Christ consciousness. Okay. Alright. Alright. In reverse. Oh, I get it. Okay. An overall theme for the Christ conscious individuals. What can they expect during this transitional phase as they step into their purpose and their mission? What is the overall theme? One card. Oh shit, on a cracker. Okay. I can't make this shit up. So okay. I'm gonna just reveal this as it came out. Alright, so first and foremost, the first card out is the Eight of Pentacles. Okay? Followed by the Sun. So good on that. Followed by the Hanged Man, which I think it might be literal in this context. The Ten of Pentacles. The Six of Wands in reverse. The Ten of Wands. The Page of Swords. The Fool. The Magician in reverse. And the Seven of Pentacles. Your overall theme. The Five of Pentacles and Justice. Like I said, I can't make this up. So, essentially what I'm seeing for the collective that is part of the Christ consciousness, you are in a very interesting place. You're at an Eight of Pentacles. You are feeling very, very much like you are stepping into your own. And because I see the Sun, I'm seeing this as you are stepping into the light and you're stepping into your purpose. And all of you have done it through the Hanged Man status. So basically, been in a stalemate, but you have broken through that because it's in a place where it would say that you're overcome something. And so it's almost like a hermit quality to this reading in the Hanged Man, even though it's just basically introspection and feeling like you were stuck. But the Eight of Pentacles and that, with the Sun in the middle, means that you have broken into the light. You are now carrying that light, and you're carrying your purpose. Because it leads you to the Ten of Pentacles, which is grounded abundance and spirituality is how I'm going to read this, because it's the Eight and then the Hangman. So there is a spiritual context to this. So you're in alignment with where you need to be, because you're also moving beyond the Six of Wands. So there is still, even though this is typically something that's mental and it's kind of like an internal monologuing, you are breaking free of that because you're walking into the Ten of Wands, which is completing a cycle. You have completed a cycle, people, because the Page of Swords brings news to you of a new beginning that you are embarking on, which would be this transition. And in that, you are moving from an inability to manifest something into the Seven of Pentacles, meaning that you are transitioning into something that has a possibility to go either way. But I'm going to say this. If you walk in your purpose, I'm going to switch the magician to upright, into you being able to manifest through this energy into a state where justice will prevail. So as the world is facing its alignment, I almost said Taurus, so one of you might be a Taurus. But as you're facing this transitional phase in Christ consciousness, understand that justice will get you out of feeling as though you have been in a constant state of being left out, a constant state of lacking, a constant state of though, because you're going to all carry this. If you're tapped into this Christ consciousness, it only makes sense that you would feel as though you have been left out in the cold and that you have suffered some, okay? That makes sense to me, because especially when you look at the Hanged Man, it could be taken as literally. I mean, Christ was crucified for the sins of humanity. So it explains why this is a new bright day and it's coming in a new direction. And so understand that you're working through that consciousness, and you're about to be given a new path, a new beginning, where you will be abundant and it takes you into the ability to manifest. But remember, you're carrying a consciousness that has a lot of karmic cycle to it. So it's going to balance out. And it may not manifest directly in the way that you think, because it was in reverse. And so because it was followed by the Seven of Pentacles, that is divinely guided. And it's giving you the justice that your consciousness needs in this new light. And as you walk into your power and your purpose, you will overcome this lack mentality and this inability to move forward, because you are going to be, it's an alignment, it's a realignment. So this is going to be worked out. So If you're still going through this, understand that this transition is for you in many regards. What humanity is facing is a realignment to make right what they did wrong. And if anybody's going to experience the wonderfulness with the Ten of Pentacles and with this new beginning of the Fool directly under it, it's going to be the Christ consciousness individual. So, yay, you. But understand that I see what you've been through, and your life continuously has been an uphill battle for most of you. But the sun is in your future. It's right here, it's right now. Become that light and carry your torch brightly, because it took you a while to get to this point. Christ has been waiting very patiently for us to act in ways that light the path for him. And so now, as you step into your purpose, you are literally guiding us back to Christ. And as you do that, you will let go of the burdens that you have carried and get over it in order to make way for none other than justice for Christ. Okay? So that's a really powerful message. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. If you feel like you're tapped into Christ consciousness, may I suggest that you spend some time studying the other aspects to him, her, it, because I always say that energy is not gender specific, but I do understand that most people, because their religious context, have been misled into believing it could only have been a man. Women can equally carry Christ consciousness, so it's important to tap into that energy. Understand who you are, regain your power and your sense of control about things that are happening, and know that if you're carrying this, there is probably no one on the planet that's going to be more taken care of than Christ, but you're going to do it through humility and all the traits that I just shared with you. So, in love and light, Godspeed. I hope you guys enjoyed that. The deck that I was using, as I say, in the same-sex tarot, is Shadowscape Tarot. I think I did the same-sex tarot I do to uplift the energy, and so I shared that. I believe that was an altruistic channel, but it also could have been on Al. Altruistic channels Arvalo. I like to flip these because, like, this one is going to go on Al. Altruistic channels Arvalo, because it's for the collective. This is for beings who are already ascending. The other one is for people who are, might be tempted to learn about spirituality in the new context, in the new way, that would be driven towards something a little bit more uplifting and fluffy. This is going to be more directed to those of you who are walking into alignment with your purpose. And congratulations, because it's been a very heavy road. I'm surprised the Ten of Staves wasn't in there, but because of the fact that you did have the 2 completions and the abundance, you are going to get everything that you deserve. So thank you for all of your hard work and for living your path, because without you, we could not be where we are. And so no matter what you're seeing around you, understand that we, the collective, see you, feel you, and you share the qualities with Christ himself. So kudos and good work to all. I will be sharing, I think next I will be working on either the Buddha or Confucius and the traits that you would share in those departments. That is the Hierophant signing out, and they have me saying that I don't ask questions anymore. I go with the flow. I'm actually okay with it. It's just that for some reason I just find it very, very official. And it's just like, I'm kind of laid back. But, Hierophant signing off. You guys enjoy the rest of this journey. Many of you are fully in your alignment and fully in your power. So enjoy these moments. Take walks. You don't have to be near people in order to enjoy sunlight. Walk into your light, because you are now the light. So thank you so much and have a good day. Bye. I'm a big dork. I can't. Sometimes I just. Oh, I'm still on. Hi. Yeah, the Hierophant's a dork. Yes. Yes.